Talking about Tyrannosaurus.
I'm sorry I'm late, everyone. All right. This annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the Golfers Association of America will come to order. We'll begin by having our secretary, Ms. Mildred Pinkerton, read the minutes from the last meeting.
Last year, there was a meeting of the Golfers Association of America. This year, there will be another meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Pinkerton. May we have a motion to accept the minutes as read?
I make a motion to accept the minutes as read.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Now, does anyone wish to second that motion? Anyone?
I second the motion.
You can't second your own reading of the minutes, Ms. Pinkerton.
As Sergeant at Arms, I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Corley. Now, does anyone object?
Nobody's going to object. If anyone does object, I'll make them an offer they can't refuse.
I'm sure that won't be necessary, Mr. Corley. Now, let us proceed. I would like to have had a report read by our treasurer, Mr. Vincent Ponzi, but he couldn't be here tonight. The parole board turned down his request for a leave of absence. So instead, I'll call upon our public relations officer and second vice president, Mr. Fred Arnold.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have written our U.S. Senator, Jack S. Inafog, requesting Senator Inafog to attend our upcoming St. Francis of Assisi golf tournament. Senator Inafog wrote back saying, "This is the first time I am hearing about it. I will check into the matter and have my chief of staff get back to you."
How long ago did you invite the senator?
About 6 months ago.
And have you heard anything back from the senator?
Oh yes, Senator Inafog invited me to attend his fundraising efforts for the upcoming November elections.
I guess he's a busy man with the economy and the environment and all.
Oh yes, Senator Inafog is definitely a busy man protecting our rights and our interests. I would like everyone to keep in mind that there is no jackass like our jackass.
Will that be all, Fred?
No, there was a recommendation for our upcoming golf tournament.
Oh, a suggestion? Good. What is it?
Someone suggested that we have the men compete against the women in the tournament.
Well, that sounds like a good idea.
Yes. Here it is.
Well, read it for us.
In the spirit of mutual cooperation and benefit, the following suggestion is offered for the upcoming St. Francis of Assisi golf outing. Allow the women to compete against the men, with a 3-hole advantage for the women. And, instead of all the golf balls being white, have pink golf balls for the women and have the men play with blue balls. It would make golfing a family fun day, watching all the men and their blue balls chasing after the women golfers. Signed, Cynthia Farquhar.
I see.
Mr. President, I think it's an idea St. Francis would approve of doing.
That's a great suggestion. Today, I got a set of golf clubs for my husband.
Hey, smart trade.
I think we should have that suggestion run through committee before we vote.
I second the motion.
Thank you. Do we have any volunteers for the tournament?
My mother-in-law would like to bake some cookies.
Oh, your mother-in-law sounds like an angel.
She's not. She's very much alive.
Can she make a devil's food cake?
Well, that's her specialty.
It must be nice to live in a family where there's love and warmth.
You're right. It must be nice to live in a family where there's love and warmth.
Oh, I know what you mean, Erica. My mother-in-law is so big and ugly. Last week, she went to the top of the Empire State Building, and she was attacked by 4 planes.
All right. Let's try to remember why we're here.
I wonder how Bishop Luca Brazzi is doing. He swings a golf club like a caveman, killing his lunch.
Can we please continue with the meeting?
I second the motion.
We must maintain a high level of security throughout the tournament, as most golfers have a handicap.
Not us. We don't have a handicap. It's more like a permanent disability.
Which means that we can expect to play host for a long day by golfers during the tournament.
May I offer a suggestion?
Certainly, Ms. Pinkerton.
Can we offer all golfers with a handicap a shot of vitamin G?
And this year, let's make sure that all the holes are numbered.
That's an excellent thought, Fred. Thank you, both.
There are too many golfers who pant like Rush Limbaugh rolling a boulder up Mount Everest. We should be prepared.
Well, what do you suggest?
Let's have every caddy offer every golfer the Heimlich maneuver at each hole.
Are things that bad with the golfers?
With the golfers that come to our golf tournament, they don't try and shoot their age, they try to shoot their weight.
Well, we've decided to hold the golf outing on a Sunday. This way, when the golfers lower their heads, they can pray and putt at the same time.
And if they hit the golf ball off of the tee and it goes in on the first shot, it'll be a real miracle.
Only 18 holes will be allowed. It's important to keep things moving. If anyone wants to play 36 holes, tell them to buy a harmonica.
I agree. We cannot have a game of golf to have more breaks than a government job.
With my husband, golf and sex are one and the same. The older he gets, the better he used to be.
Okay, now, we'd all agreed to keep things moving.
I second the motion.
I was referring to the game of golf.
Oh, I see. Yes, that too is important.
These days, the definition of a faithful husband is one whose alimony check arrives on time.
Let us proceed with the meeting at hand, please.
Good. And no more interruptions. No more talk about husbands and wives. I was married by a judge. I should have asked for a jury.
We're required to have medical personnel on hand at the golf tournament.
How about that nurse from Hooters, Boom Boom?
Hey, how about her? Great bod. I hear she's in a fifth year of nursing 101. She's accessible.
Thank you, Anthony. Let's make certain everything is clear and properly noted. I mean, when a golfer asks for a sandwich, I don't expect the caddy to run out and bring back a ham on rye.
I understand when the Pope went to Mount Olive, Popeye wanted to kill him.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. There must not be any misunderstanding about anything we do or say.
That's right, Mr. President. We cannot even show any need for concern. We don't need Tiger Woods in a Cadillac Escalade driving on the green with Dick Cheney riding shotgun.
Does the second vice president know if any celebrities will be attending the golf outing?
We invited a few politicians, but they all declined, saying that they wouldn't be available for the next 15 to 20.
Everything we do must have the highest level of integrity and honesty. There's no room for crooked politicians at our golf tournament.
We should always be sincere, even if we don't mean it.
I don't want there to be any hard feelings when this golf outing is over. We want family fun for all.
I agree. Friction is a drag.
I second the motion.
It's very important to keep the peace. Just because liquor will be available should not indicate that anyone can get drunk in our newly constructed clubhouse.
People who visit stone houses shouldn't throw glasses.
Everything must be dealt with and secured ahead of time. I mean, we must stay on top of everything and leave nothing to chance. Remember, it's bad luck to be superstitious.
And as members of this distinguished Board of Governors of the Golfers Association of America, we must fully understand that 5 out of 4 golfers have trouble with numbers and keeping score.
Everybody must be made to have a good time and leave here smiling. After all, nostalgia isn't what it used to be, right, boss?
Well, we also need to adopt a slogan for the new clubhouse so that the guests will buy the souvenirs that we're offering. Does anyone have suggestions?
Well, how about Veni Vidi Visa? I came, I saw, I shopped. What do you all think?
I second the motion.
Okay, that sounds good. So now we should decide on whether or not to allow cell phones on the golf course.
I think we should make the golfers turn off their cell phones, as cell phones can be a distraction. Better yet, we could have a place behind the counter so that when the golfers come onto the course, they can put the cell out of the sun.
That makes sense. We'll tell people to shut off their cell phones and stick them where the sun don't shine.
I'll have Carmine seated by the entrance of the clubhouse to guarantee there won't be any cell phones on the golf course.
I met Carmine last year. He sold me a watch and gave me 6 to 5 odds in the Super Bowl. Nice fella. Did he ever get his nose fixed?
I'll give him your regards.
I've also taken the liberty to notify the police department to have some extra personnel on duty for the tournament. They're going to scan everyone on the new fingerprinting device for any warrants or legal documentation.
No, then I don't think Carmine would be a good idea.
You know, we must remember all golfers are not annoying. Some of them have yet to arrive, so let's keep things moving by not causing backups by golfers waiting to tee off at the clubhouse.
We need to finish on time, no matter how long it takes.
How will we determine who goes first to tee off and who goes last?
Well, let's have everybody line up alphabetically, by height.
And let's have everyone start at 6 a.m., no matter what time it is.
We should be prepared for anything. Golf is a game that can be summed up in 2 words. You never know.
I agree with everything that's been said so far. You know, I used to be indecisive, but now, as president of the Golf Association of America, I'm not so sure anymore.
Golf is like a day with sunshine, and a day without sunshine is, night.
I didn't realize you were such a philosopher, Erica.
I read a lot. I believe a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a broken fan belt and a flat tire.
That's very true. What do you think, Anthony, about time and motion study?
Time is that thing that keeps everything from happening all at once.
Well, what would happen if you got scared half to death? Twice.
Can we get back to the meeting? Does anyone remember where we were?
I think we were discussing the upcoming St. Francis of Assisi golf tournament.
All right, how does everyone feel about offering a free gift to the golfers who support our efforts?
Exactly what is a free gift? Aren't all gifts supposed to be free?
I think we have enough youth. How about a fountain of smart?
Can we continue this meeting without anyone going insane?
I need to call my brother Michael. I wrote him.
All right. Well, I was going to say that we've moved the golf outing to a Sunday, which means that the next day is Monday, and that's going to be...
Monday is a terrible way to spend 1/7 of your life.
I was going to say Monday is a day when there'll have to be some type of cleanup crew after the tournament's over on Sunday. I mean, it means we need to make certain the ground crew gets in early on Monday and begins the cleanup as quickly as possible.
I think after the tournament is over and people are starting to leave, we should remind them not to continue drinking while driving. Drinking and driving don't mix. You may spill your drink and upset the upholstery.
That's a good thought, Fred.
I think we need to recognize the efforts of Monsignor Michael Williams, who has been spending time with the young widow, Bonnie McPherson, who hasn't had any clothes for the past 2 years.
I think the Monsignor would be quite surprised to think that his efforts would be noticed. I mean, I understand that he goes there every week, and that sometimes he even stays all night with the widow without anyone knowing.
Well, let's hope he can keep it up and keep Miss McPherson smiling until his next visit.
Well, I think it would be a good idea to find out what happened to Harold Pettiford, our past president. Mrs. Pettiford can't do anything with her live-in boyfriend until she has a clear idea of what happened to Harold.
Well, I'll have a conversation with the police chief when he comes to the golf outing. Does anyone else have any comments?
My first husband spent most of his money on loose women, booze, and trips to Las Vegas. The rest he just squandered.
I think every golfer should sit down after every shot and see where he stands. Most golfers want to be the top dog and end up being a fire hydrant.
Thank you. Do we have any suggestions to improve the game that we can pass along to our members?
I think we should stress fitness. Most are overweight. Some of the golfers have gluteus to the maximus.
That includes my husband. He's cooking compatible, athletically biased, and numerically challenged. In other words, he's fat, lazy, and a perfect one.
Oh, let's remember that golfers do not make mistakes. They have experiences.
Well, some golfers have more experiences than others.
I don't want it to get around that the golf course is haunted with ghosts who like to play on the golf course.
Watching some people play golf is like listening to Mike Tyson try and recite the alphabet.
Let's hope the golfers coming to our outing will last longer than a dessert tray at Rosie O'Donnell's house.
And let's make sure that no drugs or illegal substances are being carried around the course.
I agree. Last year we had some of the golfers walking around like the late Mayor Marion Barry on a fact-finding tour in Bogota, Colombia.
In primitive society, when natives beat the ground with clubs and yelled, it was called witchcraft. In modern society, it's called golf.
All right, now I think we're starting to get somewhere by understanding the needs and effects golf has on the members and invitees. Is everything okay, Anthony?
Michael wants to take the family to Las Vegas. Wants me to meet him at the house before he leaves.
Now, to many people, golf makes about as much sense as a kamikaze pilot wearing a helmet.
Well, that's true, you know. I think we're going to have something in the clubhouse for people while they await their husbands and boyfriends to return from the links.
My wife finds golf very educational. Every time that I leave the house to play golf, she reads a book.
Women should be obscene and not heard.
You men must always remember, behind every man is a woman.
And behind her is his wife.
I think we should end this golf tournament at 8 or 9, whichever comes first.
I think we should advertise the new Tiger Woods movie that is soon to come out. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Hydrant.
I understand in the upcoming months that Tiger Woods is going to be playing around in Australia.
Look, I don't think we should count Tiger Woods out yet. I mean, he was just named by Playboy as Athlete of the Year.
Oh, maybe we should invite Tiger Woods to drop by and play 18 holes.
And then afterwards, ask Tiger Woods to shoot a few rounds of golf.
I don't think we should invite Tiger Woods to our golf outing. I understand 88% of all women don't appreciate his antics or style.
And the other 12% are cocktail waitresses.
I think we should invite former President George W. Bush, and he might make a nice donation to our cause.
I understand Mr. Bush was born with a silver foot in his mouth.
Mr. Bush just suffered a great loss when his house burned down and he lost his library, both books, and he hadn't finished coloring one of them.
Is there any truth to the rumor that George Bush will be running for the U.S. Senate with the same political philosophy?
I guess a zebra never changes its spots.
We have got to get more celebrities involved with the golf tournament.
How about Maria Shriver? After reading about the Tiger Woods affair, she went out and bought a set of golf clubs, thinking of Arnold.
President Obama and Joe Biden went golfing the other day and started laughing as they were checking out the idiot fishing in the lightning storm.
I didn't know they had any interest in golf.
I really enjoyed looking at Fabio's putter. Can we invite him? He's a real Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Well, Mildred, maybe you could take golf lessons from Fabio. I mean, you'd have to spread your legs and lower your head while he drives.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Easy, Mildred. We're talking about golf.
Fred, are you going to remember to send out those personal invites we talked about?
I'll try. I've had amnesia for as long as I can remember.
Well, that's fair enough. But I do want to make sure that this is a family fun day.
My wedding was supposed to be a family fun day. When the preacher said, "You may now kiss the bride," I didn't know he meant the whole neighborhood.
Marriage is always a risk. I don't mind taking a risk, as long as I know it will turn out okay.
Sometimes I wake up grumpy. Other times I just let him sleep.
We must treat this like the Big Bang Theory. When God spoke, bang, it happened. When we speak, bang, it must happen.
I would like to invite my doctor. When I told him I broke my leg in 2 places, he told me to stop going to those places. He's very intelligent.
How does anyone feel about televising the tournament?
We need to be careful about the sponsors and the ads. I don't want to see our St. Francis of Assisi golf tournament constantly interrupted by dancing rabbits advertising toilet paper.
On television, kids can go on the air and kid the politicians. Politicians can go on air and kid the people. Works out for everyone.
Seems television has shown us the Beatles, the Crickets. Now we know where our next generation of talent is coming from, under the kitchen sink.
I would hate to go on television playing golf. I've been playing golf for so long, my handicap is in Roman numerals.
I'd be afraid to go on television. Golf has made more liars out of people than most income tax deductions.
All right, then we're agreed, no TV. But we still have to talk about the menu. What kind of food are we going to offer up at the clubhouse?
Well, let's offer everybody a menu with 2 choices. Take it or leave it.
A friend of mine got some vinegar in his ear. Now he suffers from pickled hearing. And his wife thinks Cheerios are a box of donut seeds.
Being overweight just snacks up on you.
My wife is trying to get in shape. Shape she chose was a triangle. And my nutsy sister-in-law, she's trying a new diet by trying to arrange a bag of M&Ms in alphabetical order.
What a coincidence. My sister-in-law just got fired from an M&M factory for throwing out all the W's.
Look, life is like a jar of jalapenos. If you're not careful, you can be burned in the end. So the motto is we should be prepared.
I think we must always expect the worst and be pessimistic. I am. My blood type is B negative.
No, I'm the same as you, Fred. I mean, I will not use a big word when a diminutive one will suffice. We've got to be available and ready to interact. Like my first wife, with the gardener, the plumber, the salesman, and everyone else who dropped by. She was like a doorknob. Everybody got turned.
Golf is becoming a growing sport. After the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, many of the executives of BP Petroleum were sailing on the yacht. President Obama heard about that and was so angry he missed an easy putt.
One of the golfers thinks he saw a blonde owl in a tree the other day. The owl kept hollering, "What?
Oh, wait. One of the golfers' wives called the kitchen yesterday. She wanted to know how to cook food stamps. I think we have to be very careful of food contamination.
There is a disease that is going around that paralyzes women from the waist down. It's called marriage.
All right. We're all agreed. Let's have food that's simple and safe to eat.
I second the motion.
We also have to be constantly reminded that there are going to be more married men at our golf outing than in any singles club in the country.
That's the difference between men and government bonds. Bonds mature. That's why Colonel Sanders was a male. All he cared about was legs, thighs, and breasts.
We must realize that an intelligent golfer may not be just a tourist.
You will recognize the golfer who takes his time and plans for the future. He's the one carrying 2 drinks.
You're right. We must recognize who golfers are and what they're about. This way it'll be easier to order from the souvenir shop, the clubhouse, and the bar.
That's why men like marrying virgins. They hate criticism. My first husband thought he was God's gift to women, so I exchanged him.
Now, let's not criticize any golfer for his final score. I mean, if he decides to stay and score at the bar, lucky him.
I like hunting better than golf. Last week, I killed 3 cases of beer in 2 days without firing a single shot.
The last time I saw an honest golfer, he was in handcuffs.
I want every man accounted for after the tournament. I don't want any more of those phone calls from someone's wife wanting to know where her husband is. I think we should make sure the golf tournament does not last longer than the last 2 minutes of a football game.
You know what they call a wife who always knows where her husband is? A widow.
My neighbor married a blonde, and he kept her home every night. He built a circular driveway. If she was any dumber, she would have to be watered twice a week. And if you gave her a penny for her thoughts, you'd get change.
Look, we have to be impartial here and neutral and not care who wins the golf tournament. Like the 2000 presidential election, the ballots in Florida were being recounted, and they were shouting, "Heads Bush, tails Gore."
I think it would be a nice gesture to put some quotes from the Bible in the clubhouse on the day of the tournament.
That's a great idea. We can remind all the golfers that Noah's wife was Joan of Arc.
And Joshua led the Hebrews in the Battle of Caraturo.
We should also remind the good Christian golfers that everyone should be faithful to their wife and practice monotony.
And the greatest miracle of all was when Joshua told his son to stand still, and the kid listened.
All right. On the day of the golf tournament, we want all drinks served in styrofoam cups. The only thing breakable will be the 10 Commandments. And I don't want anyone chasing after anyone else's wife. Let's remind all golfers of the 7th Commandment. Thou shalt not admit adultery.
I second the motion.
Good. I'm glad we're all in agreement. The proper atmosphere is everything.
Many people who are religious look to the Bible for guidance. My husband bought a Honda because all the apostles were in one accord.
We must practice the rules of the Bible by not allowing anyone to play cards like Noah on the ark, who sat on the deck.
We should also remember that many golfers are under psychiatric care. I mean, some are afraid to answer their phones because it'll disrupt their game. Others are going to answer whether or not it rains. Let's try to understand all golfers.
My sister-in-law married a lunatic. He thinks he's in charge.
My wife doesn't know what she wants.
You're lucky. Mine does.
My son claims he got an A in spelling. I told him he's crazy. There's no A in spelling.
I am right 98% of the time. I don't care about the other 50%.
My wife says I never listen, or something like that. They say English is the mother tongue because the father seldom speaks.
My wife just got a ticket for parking in a spot that said, "Fine for parking."
I have a son who wants to be a doctor. He has the handwriting for it.
Well, I'm glad to see that we're all in agreement. We're all looking forward to the golf tournament. It was a pleasure working with all of you, and I'd like to thank you for showing up at the meeting. And now, I'd like to make a motion to end this meeting of the Golfers Association of America.
I second the motion.
Thank you.
I second the motion.
Thank you.